Happening now, Congressman Tom Reed is speaking out after he was accused of sexual misconduct, plus the latest efforts to vaccinate residents against COVID-19 here in Chautauqua County.
Well, the sun is out and it's going to be another day of warm temperatures, but how long is it going to last? We'll talk about it next as the News at Noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. 2 days after being accused of sexual misconduct, Congressman Tom Reed announced he will not seek any elected office when his term ends in 2022 and offered an apology to his accuser. The Republican from Corning was accused by a former lobbyist, Nicolette Davis, of sexual misconduct in a story posted by the Washington Post on Friday. Reed now saying that his hand outside of her blouse briefly fumbled with her bra before unhooking it by the clasp. The congressman released a statement yesterday explicitly ruling out a run for governor, which Reed has long hinted was a possibility. In fact, he says now he will not seek any elected office in 2022. Reed says that he takes full responsibility for his behavior. The representative also detailed his powerless struggle with alcohol and says the alleged incident, which Davis describes, happened during a time he was struggling. Reed says going forward, he plans to dedicate his time and attention to making amends for his actions. Well, we will have another COVID-19 surge here in the U.S. That depends on who you talk to. But as Britt Conway reports, COVID-19 safety restrictions continue to ease and spring breakers continue to party on.
More partying in Miami, more travel, fewer restrictions. As medical experts warn, this pandemic is not over.
I know that people see the light at the end of the tunnel, but they shouldn't confuse that with being done.
According to data from Johns Hopkins University, in the past week, there was an average of about 55,000 new cases reported every day in the U.S. One of the big questions now, will we see a fourth surge? And that's where some medical experts are divided. One doctor is pointing to prior infections and vaccinations.
We're talking about some form of protective immunity in about 55% of the population. So there's enough of a backstop here that I don't think you're going to see a fourth surge. I think what you could see is a plateauing for a period of time.
It's that plateau that has another doctor worried. He's pointing to the past.
History has shown us that when you have that plateauing, that's usually the forerunner of another surge. We've actually seen that in the European Union.
And yet another medical expert says instead of predicting the future, he wants to prepare for it.
We've got about 70% of seniors vaccinated now. We've got about a third of adults have had their first shot. That still leaves a good bit to go, though, so we're not there yet.
The importance of getting people vaccinated is where all three experts agree. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Britt, thank you. Here in New York State, the first case of the Brazilian COVID-19 variant was confirmed during lab testing downstate over the weekend. Well, the number of those vaccinated for COVID-19 in Chautauqua County is now over 25%. That's according to the New York State's COVID-19 vaccination dashboard, which reports more than 32,000 residents have received at least one dose, with 15,000 fully immunized. In Cattaraugus County, more than 17,000 have received their first shot, making up 22% of the population, with 9,000 fully vaccinated. Statewide, over 5 million people have received at least one dose, with more than 2.5 million getting their complete series. Those with qualifying comorbidities or underlying conditions can now get vaccinated at pharmacies, thanks to a weekend policy change by state leaders. The person would have to prove their eligibility with either a doctor's letter or medical information. It was also announced New Yorkers 16 and up who are pregnant, have cancer, diabetes, severe obesity, or other diseases could get the shot now too. Previously, only those ages 60 and older and teachers could get it at pharmacies. Well, AstraZeneca released results from its U.S. Phase 3 vaccine trial today. The company saying it's 79% effective in preventing symptoms of COVID and 100% effective at preventing the spread of the disease and hospitalization. The results paved the way for AstraZeneca to apply for an emergency use authorization from the FDA. The company says it will do so starting in early April. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now as we get a check of some local headlines this afternoon. Let us know what you think about these stories and more down in the comments below. Great to see Jason. Good to see Joseph, who chimes in saying he got his second shot. Great to see Sean. Good to see Seth and Linda as well. Hopefully you are all having a great start to your week. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. Well, now let's switch gears here a little bit and get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter standing by with that. Hey, Dakota, happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday, everybody. We made it through a wonderful weekend. Hope you got out and enjoyed the sunshine and some of the warmer temperatures we had this weekend, but not a good place for where we do actually see some skiers here at Halima in Ellicottville. So again, same thing we told you about last week. If you have not gotten out this year or you want to do one last run, get it in now because we all know that this is pretty much coming to an end. Pretty much an area showing up on the satellite and radar imagery, and that's going to be the same way through it is today. But if you look a little bit further back to the west, there is some area of clouds over the upper Great Lakes over Michigan. That's actually going to start to pull in here as we go through the day tomorrow, and then we'll actually get some rain showers in here as we go through the middle of the week. We topped out at 62 yesterday. Look at where we should be this time of the year at 46. We started the day at 39. 81 is the record high for today, and 1 below zero in 1988 was that record low. So through the afternoon today, just another unseasonably warm and sunny day out there. A onshore wind with some lake breezes at times. 57 right at the immediate Lake Erie waterfront to 68 well inland. I wouldn't be shocked if a couple spots well inland away from that lake breeze actually go around 70 with a south wind averaging 4 to 9 miles per hour. Now a few more clouds come in for tomorrow, then a few more rain showers, but how long is the warmer temperatures going to stick around? We'll talk about it with that 42 degrees and sunny 7 day later in the show. Justin?
A current aide to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is the latest woman to accuse him of sexual harassment. Alyssa McGarth tells the New York Times he looked down her shirt and stared at her body during a one-on-one meeting. She says he commented on her appearance inappropriately and referred to her colleague and her as mingle mamas. Cuomo's attorney tells the Times he's just old-fashioned and greets men and women with kisses on the cheek. She reiterates her client's claim that he never touched anyone inappropriately. McGarth's story is similar to that of other Cuomo accusers. Well, the number of drug overdoses in Chautauqua County increased over 50% in the last year. That's according to the Chautauqua County Department of Mental Hygiene, who released updated statistics. The data shows that overdoses rose dramatically during the pandemic, with 338 people getting medical attention, up from 219 the year before. Fatal overdoses also increased, but at a much lower rate. Over the same time frame, overdose fatalities rose 18% from 33 in 2019 to 39 in 2020.
When you have multiple doses of naloxone used, and fortunately we were able to save 146 people where they had to use multiple doses, I do believe we can tie that to the presence of fentanyl in mixed in with a lot of substances that people are using. And as you all know, fentanyl is what really leads to our lethal overdoses, or those overdoses where we have to use multiple doses to revive someone.
That's Chautauqua County's Health Director Christine Schuyler, who presented the new figures to the County Board of Health last week. The Department of Mental Hygiene says there is help for those struggling with addiction at combataddiction.com/find-help. Next, the latest on an investigation into a Celeron apartment fire. And later, we tell you about a new exhibit coming to a Jamestown History Museum. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues on this sunny Monday afternoon.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Honest John's has what you're looking for. When you want it good, we're gonna give you lots more.
From freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has what you're looking for. And now 2 great locations, East 2nd Street and Fairmount Avenue. Order takeout or delivery today online at honestjohns.pizza.
You're gonna get it good at Honest John's.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
A discarded cigarette is blamed for causing a fire at an apartment in Celeron. Several departments battled the Saturday evening fire at the Ellicott Shores Apartments. Chief Jordan Bailey with the Celeron Fire Department tells us the fire was mainly contained to a rear porch of the residence there.
We were called for smoke coming from a porch at the Ellicott Shores Apartments. Upon my arrival, we had heavy smoke coming from the office area and the back porch where an occupant lived.
Now, firefighters made quick work of the blaze with no injuries reported. Well, a Dunkirk man is behind bars following a robbery of a local business over the weekend. City of Dunkirk police say 40-year-old John Timorn was arrested a short distance away from the Central Avenue business after allegedly fleeing the area with an undetermined amount of cash on Saturday. Officers say he was taken to the Dunkirk Police Department and charged with 3rd-degree robbery and 5th-degree criminal possession of stolen property. He was later remanded to the Chautauqua County Jail in lieu of bail following an arraignment in city court there. Well, the Biden administration is closing the border between the U.S. and Mexico. As John Lawrence reports, this decision comes as a major surge of migrants are straining resources already under duress due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The White House isn't calling the situation at the southern border a crisis, but by any yardstick, it's a tense situation.
We are executing on our plan. It does take time. It is difficult.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection detained nearly 9,300 unaccompanied children last month, almost doubling January's total. Thousands are being held in facilities for more than the 72 hours that's allowed by law.
We are working around the clock to move those children out of the Border Patrol facilities into the care and custody of the Department of Health and Human Services that shelters them.
The Department of Homeland Security expects the number of migrants at the border will soon hit a peak not seen in at least 2 decades. Republicans say President Biden hasn't come up with solutions after overturning some of the Trump administration's immigration policies.
I haven't seen a plan. They talk about humane conditions, humanitarian. They have created a humanitarian crisis down here at this border.
Let's have rapid adjudications at the border. This was a pilot program started in the Trump administration. It was stopped. Let's put that back in place.
No word yet on when the White House will reopen the border. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. While the situation at the border is in flux, some progress is being made on the DREAM Act legislation, which would provide a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children. Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin says he's close to getting the Republicans' votes needed to advance the measure. Well, back here at home, residents young and old gathered along the Chattacoin River's edge in Jamestown to take part in an annual tradition which did not happen last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The festivity was part of celebrations for St. Patrick's Day on Saturday. Jamestown City Councilwoman at Large Kim Eklund says it was great to see the community come together once again, saying she connected with neighbors who she hasn't seen since last year.
The city has hosted this for well over 20 years, with the exception of last year. Being Irish, this is one of my favorite things to see in this city, obviously. But it was great to see the community come together. I've seen people I hadn't seen since prior to COVID, actually well over a year ago. You know, and it was nice to be out and just to see a smiling face. The kids see the leprechaun, get the coins from the leprechaun. You know, hearing families say, years ago, I was little when I came here and now I'm bringing my kids.
Now, Eklund says one of her favorite aspects of Jamestown is its sense of community, something that the representative treasures even more since the shutdown 1 year ago. Certainly lots of fun there that Saturday. Great to see life coming back to kind of the way it was. Let us know what you think about that and more in the comments down below. We love to hear from you. It's great to see Amy. Good to see Cindy, William, Laura, Travis, and Annette as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Lots of fun there over the weekend, Dakota. I went down there, hung out with my mom for a little bit. And she's actually fully protected now against COVID-19. You know, still wearing the mask when obviously around other people for their comfort level. But it was really great to kind of see the city come back to life and have people together again in person.
And, you know, I think we mentioned it last week how we are only one of a few cities in the U.S. that actually turn a body of water green for St. Patrick's Day. And the biggest one that we know of is in Chicago. And they do it every year to one of the rivers that flow through downtown Chicago. And, you know, that is, I think, probably one of the things a lot of people look forward to every year is probably, you know, the St. Patrick's Day festivities, seeing the Chattacoin turned green for the holiday. And, you know, and I think probably some of the other things people look forward to is probably like, you know, the Christmas parade that happens every year. And hopefully we'll see something like that happen this year as well. But, you know, it's just been great to kind of see the things coming back that we lost last year. So.
Right. And the warmer weather really, I think, making it great for people to be able to come out.
There was no snow this year.
No, none at all, actually, at the sites of that. And a lot of people, one thing I did want to mention real quickly, I saw a lot of people over the weekend were commenting about like turning the water green. Does that hurt anybody? No. They actually have a special dye that does it, and the fish are completely unimpacted.
Somebody had asked me that on Twitter.
Yeah.
And because I threw out a picture that our crew got. And, you know, when somebody had asked me what they had used, and I'm like, I'm not 100% certain. I know in Chicago they use basically green food dye, but I'm not sure what they use here.
Yeah. So a lot of dye involved there, and they actually, really cool fun fact, the water in some cases, years past, I'm not sure about this weekend, but sometimes stays green all the way, obviously, through Falconer and down into Warren even in some cases. You can see a little bit of that. So pretty cool nevertheless. And a lot of people I mentioned were out enjoying maybe some of that waterways. I know that the ice is melting and the temps are going, and I even got a little sunburn over the weekend because of the sun. I sat outside all day yesterday and did nothing. That was my day. I just soaked up the sun. Justin had his little tanning thing out, you know. I didn't put any sunscreen on. That's my fault. So, yeah. Dakota, were you golfing this weekend?
No, that's you with your metal detector and your Bermuda shorts and your flip-flops. Let's take a look at the graphics. We want to talk about something serious that happened this weekend as too. There were numerous brush fires this weekend. Our friends at Tim Hortons actually posted this, and this is at their Foote Avenue location. Now, of course, at the drive-thru, they have all these nice trees that allied the fence at the drive-thru, and unfortunately, someone threw a cigarette butt, which ignited this tree, and now, fortunately, they were able to put it out before the fire department got there. and they ultimately did lose this tree. But this is something we talked about last week, how there's a burn ban in effect for the entire state through May, and it's something you really have to take into account here. So why is spring often the highest fire danger for us here? Well, it has to do with the fact that the ground is still frozen. Now, of course, the winter season, the ground freezes, obviously, and when the snow starts to melt and it starts to warm up, the ground is still frozen. And even if you throw water on the ground, it doesn't actually, absorb that water very well because it's still frozen. It has to wait for it to thaw for it to actually absorb some of it. And brush is often dry and crumbly, and that can often start fires. That can make a small fire turn into a wildfire. And another problem we have here is actually parts of the southern tier has not actually recovered from the drought from last year. This yellow shade here is a dry condition. That means the ground is relatively drier than where it should be for this time of the year. So the big message here that we want to say is respect the burn ban. The burn ban stays in place until May 14th. Respect that. No outdoor burning. Just please respect that. We already had tons of brush fires this weekend. We don't need any more, and we don't need wildfires. So just wait until the end of May, and then you'll be good to go. Lots of sunshine downtown right now. A pair of 5s at the airport right now, the south wind of 9. So it's basically going to be nice out there through the day. And yeah, what you see is going to be what you get. High pressure basically across the northeast. This has actually slid a little bit further to our east, was over us yesterday, but now has moved a little bit to the east. But our next storm system is actually way down across the deep south over Texas. This is part of what's going to be coming our way on Wednesday and Thursday with some rain showers. You see some snow basically up there in the Colorado Rockies, maybe another big snowstorm for them. But around here, Future Scan is running, but it shows you nothing. Just lots of sunshine out there. Maybe a few high clouds will start to filter in overnight, and then watch tomorrow. A band of clouds will actually come in with a weak disturbance, but the disturbance will not produce any rain tomorrow, but there will be more clouds in the afternoon after a sunny start. And then as we go through the day on Wednesday, as the storm system actually pulls up into the Great Lakes, you'll actually see the influence of some of that moisture from the storm system, and it should be mainly rain on Wednesday, but scattered. The next 7 days are coming up right now, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny, 63 tomorrow, sunny in the day, clouds in the afternoon. Just that chance for some showers on Wednesday, 64. We'll make a run at 70 on Thursday, just a few scattered rain showers. Better chance of rain on Friday at 60, and the weekend's going to be a toss-up here. Better Saturday, a little bit more worse on Sunday, but temperatures still around 50. We'll take a break and be right back. First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smoking deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
It's not just what we say, it's what we do.
Local first. It isn't just our slogan. It's our mindset every single day. So whether you're watching our daily live streams or staying up to date with reports on our website and mobile app, you'll always see the same attention to detail from reporters who passionately care about our community, who have one goal in mind: to always put the facts first.
For me, it's more than just getting the forecast right. What I love the most about my job is that I come into work every day to help break down the weather, letting people know how this is going to impact their day. We take pride that First Defense Weather is the only local weather team in the Southern Tier. We don't just copy and paste our weather from outside sources. Every part of our forecast is handmade right here in-house, something our team really takes pride in.
What matters to you matters to us. Every story, every day. WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Hey, welcome back to WNY News Now. Finally here today, a local museum in Jamestown is getting ready to debut a new exhibit focusing on the LGBTQ+ community in Chautauqua County. As WNY News Now's Claire Galt reports, The Fenton History Center is set to open the exhibit titled Protest and Pride next week.
And I like to say it happened in the place where all the good ideas in Jamestown happen, in Wegmans parking lot.
That's Noah Goodling, the executive director of the Fenton History Center, who was approached by a member of Jamestown Pride last year, wanting to know what his museum had to offer in terms of LGBTQ plus history. After searching their archives, he realized they had very little on the subject.
I checked and we didn't have anything. We had 2 pins in our collection that had rainbows on them.
In a move to be more inclusive to the history of the entire community, he decided, along with the other board members, that the center should open an exhibit on the local Pride movement.
We made it our mission over the last year or so to collect stories, to collect materials, to build trust with to build relationships with communities, build trust, and make sure that we were doing better in that mission to preserve the history of everybody in our community and to be fully inclusive to the needs of our community.
Since then, he conducted a series of interviews for people of all age ranges and backgrounds who represent that community, accepting historical donations for display as well. The exhibit includes everything from poems to artifacts to flags. It also details the history of local protests calling for equality, and even touts a choreographed dance.
Part of what we want to show is that we don't have much, and that we want people to continue donating to us and continue thinking about things that are relevant to their experience and that would be useful to save, to chronicle that experience.
The museum will take anything that people want to offer, and will even put restrictions on donation release dates if someone doesn't want it displayed for years or even after they die.
A lot of times people feel like their lives or their accomplishments or what is happening right now isn't historical. So they tend to dismiss the things that they've experienced or the things that they own as something, well, that couldn't possibly go into a museum. I'm just an ordinary person. But most of what is in our collection came from ordinary people. It's only through the passage of time and research into what living conditions were like at those other times that things become historical.
So far, they've received mostly positive feedback. And to the negative, Goodling says,
we have a responsibility to serve everybody in our community. We are a non-political organization. We don't choose favorites. We don't just work for the people that we want to work for or the people that come to us with the most money.
The exhibit opens Wednesday, March 31st with a virtual ceremony at 5:30 p.m. streamed online. The museum will then be offering free in-person tours until 8 p.m., showing off the new exhibit. Claire Gall, WNY News Now.
Claire, thank you. The Fenton History Center will continue to accept those stories and artifacts from the community for their archive. Anyone wishing to contribute should contact Noah Goodling, the director at fentonhistorycenter.org. Let us know what you think about that and more in the comments down below. Certainly, I think a lot over the last year with COVID-19 and the pandemic has brought out movements like you've seen with Black Lives Matter and other social movements really coming to a forefront. And one of them last year that was going to take place was the first Jamestown Pride Festival, which many people maybe don't know had to be canceled because of COVID. It was going to take place over the summer. And in lieu of that, a lot of people, as Claire mentioned in the story, Dakota, got to thinking, maybe there's another way right now we can honor some of those stories. And that's exactly what they did with the Fenton exhibit.
And I mean, I think it's a lot more, it's a lot more, I think, socially acceptable now to be in the community. And I don't think we ever talked about it on this show, but I was open about it on social media. Last year, I came out as gay. And, and I'm very proud of that. Right. And, it's nice to actually see some of the LGBTQ stuff actually occurring here in Jamestown. Because obviously, we see the Buffalo Pride Festival that goes on every year. And, and it's nice to actually see some of the LGBT stuff happening here in our local community. And, I know a lot of people who are in the LGBTQ community, including myself. And so, I think it's great to actually see this. And so.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things about it is the support from a lot of people. And when they do make that decision to say, hey, you know what, I am going to come out that I am gay, you sometimes don't see that in some cases. But as you mentioned today, a little bit more widely accepted. And I think one of the, speaking from my experience with working with you, I mean, you're one of my closest friends here at WNY News Now. Personally, we have a great work relationship as well. And I think everyone was. And maybe that's the difference between previous, say, 1980s and today.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things that exhibit will look at is what is different between now and then.
Right. And I mean, if you watched any TV shows or movies that had a storyline that involved LGBTQ, you know how difficult it was for people in the 60s and 70s and 80s. There were people who were literally afraid to even come out because they were afraid that they were going to get disowned by their family, or even worse, there was a movie I just saw over the weekend where a teen boy who was gay got shot in his neighborhood because they didn't want any gay people in their neighborhood. I mean, that's how it was back then. And I mean, we've made some progress since then, but we still have a long way to go.
And I think that's one of the important parts of historical documenting things. I've talked with Goodling about this before on the program, is the fact that we can't erase history. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it's still something that happened, just like with reporting the news.
Right.
And you have to be able to talk about it and be upfront about it and explain both sides of whatever story you're looking at. So nevertheless, it will be an interesting exhibit to check out. And we'll of course have more on WNYNewsNow.com a little bit later on today with Claire's full report. Well, now let's switch gears here and get a final check of our weather forecast. And Dakota, I got big plans to get out tonight.
Yes.
Hopefully enjoy some of this weather.
Oh, yes. It's another clear night, mainly clear and quiet. A good night for stargazing. 33 in the deepest valleys to around 40 at the Lake Erie shoreline. A few more clouds come our way tomorrow afternoon, then a few rain showers Wednesday and Thursday, but temperatures still remain relatively mild, Justin.
All right, my friend, thank you. That's going to do it for us today. Of course, news 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. Download it, it's free in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. You can subscribe to push notifications and we'll keep you in the know. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.